Hey guys, it's Marco again. In today's video, I will finally be going over all the heroic boss kills. This video is later than the usual ones, due to a lot of benching in my guild for tier sets and the difficulty of the raid. I decided to pug first 7 bosses and log them, while it would be too great of a challenge to pug last 4 bosses. These kill videos were taken on different dates, so my gear is a bit different from a kill to kill. I ran Slick Ice Legendary for all the kills, Plague Divisor for my Soulbind, with Icy Propulsion, Ice Bite and Gift of the Lich conduits. I ran these talents for the majority of the fights. I would only swap out Splitting Ice for Comet Storm on Skolex, Artificer and Halondrus. I failed my talents on Halondrus kill since I was running Splitting Ice. And before we start, make sure to DPS that like button and subscribe if you want. This is going to be a very long video, but you have timestamps for each of the bosses. We're starting with one of the worst bosses in the recent history, and that's Vigilant Guardian on Heroic. This fight doesn't really have anything going for itself, it's basically a lot of downtime. And ideally, if you want to log better, you're probably gonna kill this in a pug, which doesn't have a huge amount of item levels, as I did here. So it's actually more beneficial to pug this, where a lot of DPSers won't pull their weight, than to do it with your guild. Basically, in this fight, I'm just looking to pad as much as I can, use my Frost Nova whenever I get the Comet Storm proc, and just hope that my DPSers won't do any damage. I mean, I popped everything at the start, but as you can see, I'm not even ramping my Necrolord power, because that spell power won't do me a lot of good. I just need to burst these mobs as much as possible, so I'm just using that 15% spell power bonus which Necrolord gives. So yeah, this whole fight is just fighting your other DPSers in order to do more damage to the ads. This was a nice grip from the Death Knight. My Comet Storm was falling down and he gripped them out of their protection zone. So thank you, Death Knight, you increased my DPS by quite a bit. And I'm quite happy with this group since their DPS isn't that high. Like, if I was playing this with my guild, there's no way that I would have 11k DPS at this point. And having uptime is crucial for Frost Mages. I want to reset my Icy Veins, and I actually am managing to reset my Icy Veins in this raid. I'm waiting with my another Icy Veins proc, just because I want to see more mobs incoming, so I can use it and get the cooldown back. Just go into the protection zone and hope for the best.
Find shelter.
And now there's downtime, my Icy Veins is ticking, so I'm kinda impatient, I want to see some ads, I want to see some action. I channel Flashcraft because nothing is really happening, and my Icy Veins is going to go on a cooldown, but it's not gonna be too big of a cooldown, so I'm gonna have it when the boss comes. I popped my Icy Veins a bit late there. I don't know what was I thinking. I should have popped it as soon as I popped my Necrolord Covenant ability. Now the boss is about to come in. He's gonna spawn 2 more mobs, and you want that no one notices that the mob spawned, so you can like do a long extended period of time DPSing them. And now the boss spawned, you're pretty much gonna use Time Warp now and just blast the boss, hope for the best that you're gonna extend your Necrolord power and that you're gonna extend your Icy Veins cooldown. Also, I usually use my potion just for the Time Warp phase when you're focusing on the Vigilant Guardian.
Phase 3.
And it's also a great thing that this group actually lacks some solo target DPS, so this phase is lasting quite longer than it should. And that's the kill. This was completely ideal for me. Now I have Skolex on the menu. I'm not too happy about this kill. I only got a 94 percentile log for my item level. Even though it's better to kill this boss in your guild group, because your kill time is going to be faster than the Pug group. In this attempt, so we died on the first attempt on this boss, which was a very great pull for me. On the second pull, as you will see, I didn't have 100% uptime on the Icy Veins, because it was a super unlucky pull for me. I didn't get almost any procs. This might have been a bit of a bad frozen orb. It only was hitting the boss for about 2 seconds or so. So maybe I should have waited with the casting of the frozen orb. But as you can see, I casted 14 frostbolts and I only got 2 flurries, which is way under average. And now I'm just spamming my frostbolts and nothing is really happening. So this is, as you can see, this is quite unlucky. This is what cost me like a bad percentage DPS for my item level. As you can see, my Icy Veins is on cooldown, which should never be a thing, let's say. Also, I was holding my Comet Storm cooldown here, just because I didn't want to use Comet Storm before I have my Icy Veins. Just because I'm gonna benefit from the criticals and I'm gonna benefit from the cooldown reduction.
Shockwave.
And now I'm getting quite a bit of procs, and like the whole fight is basically balancing itself out, but it's not worth it because you didn't have 100% Icy Veins uptime. So in this part of the fight, the end of it, I did a very good amount of damage, but it was overall unlucky since I lost that uptime. And as for Artificer, in my eyes, it's a lot easier to do well on the DPS meter in the side of the Pug group compared to the Guild group. Just because in the intermission phases you'll be able to dish out more damage and you're gonna be prepared for it, while majority of the raiders won't exactly be prepared for it. I'm running Comet Storm here just because the adds in the intermission phase are gonna die super quickly, so I'm not gonna benefit that much from the splitting ice, and Comet Storm is a great source of burst damage for frost mages.
Watch your step.
Your agony amuses me.
Watch where.
Destruction is unavoidable.
Alright, we already faced the boss, it's already first intermission, and now I'm just gonna throw my Blizzard down and Comet Storm together with the Frost Nova. And now I'm spamming my Arcane Blast, which wasn't the smartest idea because I still had my Deathborn up, so that was kind of bad of me. I should have casted a few more Frostbolts and that would be even better.
I wonder what the dead holding space has on your flesh.
AOE incoming.
You mortals cannot even bear a spark of my teeth.
Watch your step.
Stasis field should keep you busy.
Watch
This
where.
force will overtake you. You cannot even control where you stand.
I popped my altar time now because the tank got the pull ability, so I won't get pulled because I'm just gonna altar time it. And that saves you some time on the movement. And now we got another ads phase. I'm just setting myself up, waiting for the mobs to come in because I'm gonna use the proc of my Comet Storm. Now unluckily someone knocked the ads, but they still got hit by quite a bit of my Comet Storm, so overall my burst there was decent. And now as soon as this phase is over, I pop Time Warp and that's pretty much it.
Move to stone.
Now the unluckiest part of the fight is that I got this gateway, so this cost me about like 1 or 2 seconds of casting. Not ideal, but you can't do anything about RNG. Now I have my Deathborn ready, use it as soon as you can, because this fight isn't lasting for too long.
AOE incoming.
Hand us close, so you can die together.
Watch your step.
Your agony amuses me. I wonder what the floating space has on your flesh. This will overtake you.
Now we're getting the rings, and just use your blinks to deal with the rings. You don't need to use translocation, it's just gonna cost you some time. And now I use the blink and gonna use the alter time so I don't get pulled by the tank mechanic. And now you can use your ice block or use the beacon if you want. I used the ice block and just finished the boss. Actually quite a clean kill from me, a bit unlucky with the RNG and our kill time. It would be the best if we killed it a few seconds earlier. Now we have the fan favorite boss of the raid, Halondrus. I did a great amount of DPS here. I was about 25th DPS overall on this fight, even though I was using Splitting Ice instead of Comet Storm, which was my mistake. I didn't even notice that I swapped back to Splitting Ice instead of Comet Storm. This fight is quite fun to play, especially as Frost Mage, because you need to min-max the intermission phases. The first phase is pretty easy, you're just dealing with a one target dummy, he's not gonna do anything, and you don't need to do anything on this fight because it's just heroic and he's gonna phase like super fast. We're not popping Time Warp at start of the fight, so I'm not using my potion. I'm gonna use potion whenever we use Time Warp. Ideally, whenever you get this meteor thing from the boss, you want to have an instant cast, so you can move away from it while doing an instant cast. So that's gonna save you some time, and it's gonna be huge. This is only heroic, so you can stack with the meteors from the boss. You're not gonna get killed.
Watch your step.
In these intermission phases, I'm just trying to fish as much instant cast as I can, and whenever you need to move, I want to move while I have an instant cast. And you always want to be in front of the knockback, so you get knocked back into the right direction. And always on the second knockback I use my alter time so I can go back to my original position, so I don't lose any uptime on my Rune of Power. And I'm immediately in the right spot for the second intermission because the wall to which he's gonna go to is right behind me. So basically this fight is pretty much min-maxing, like in terms of your movement and usage of your abilities. The missiles are incoming again, or the meteors, I forgot the name, and I had my ice lances, my fingers of frost ready for it. Everything is going according to plan, I didn't lose any uptime on my icy veins, and that's huge. I channeled my Flashcraft. It wasn't the ideal situation to channel Flashcraft there because I had my Rune of Power up, so ideally you don't want to use it like that. I got the dispel thingy, so I'm trying to get dispelled in front of the balls, but yeah, I'm not getting dispelled, so this was a bit hectic. I lost some uptime here. I'm popping my Rune of Power here, and I want to stay as much as I can, DPSing as much as I can, and now whenever the situation is right, I blink in front of the boss to get for the shatter, so I can get knocked into the right direction again. I still have my almost 2 of my shimmers, so that's gonna be great. I was a bit unlucky with the missiles here, because I didn't have any instant casts ready. Right, I don't want to pop my Icy Veins here, just because I'm waiting for the heroism to start, and I probably should have popped my Deathborn and Icy Veins, because I had good procs, so I could have definitely done more DPS than I already did. And this time again, on the last knockback, I use my Alter Time, so I can go back into the right place. Now I popped Potion, Deathborn, Icy Veins and Time Warp, and it's time that we blast the boss. This phase is going to be a bit longer. We don't have a tank and 2 DPSers. I just hope that we don't die, and that's pretty much it. Since I didn't have any instant casts, I decided to blink away from the meteor. Also, you can outrange this whole fight, so you don't get to deal with the laser beams, and I definitely should have done that. We do that on mythic difficulty, so I don't know why I didn't do that here. I actually cancelled my Rune of Power cast there, which wasn't ideal. You can actually benefit from your Rune of Power at the maximum distance from the bombs, whatever the name is. So you can basically throw down Rune of Power and move away at the edge of the explosion, and you're still benefiting from Rune of Power. Now the boss is close to dying, but our DPS is like super low, so ideally you do want to do this boss inside of a guild group. And I actually died in the last seconds of the fight because the mote went into the boss, so I lost 1 second of uptime there, but it's nothing too big. For the Fallen Oracle, you definitely want to do this fight inside of a raid group, like your guild group, because you can get this fight in like 2 minutes, so you're only going to have 1 absorb, and the burst is going to be huge on this boss. And my kills on the Fallen Oracle were at least 3 minutes and 15 seconds or so, so we would get a lot more mechanics and your DPS would just go down a bit. Now you don't really need to dodge anything on Heroic, except you don't want to get clapped by 2 arcs, otherwise you're gonna die. The damage which the boss does is like minimalistic, nothing is like life-threatening. You might as well help your healers with the DPS loads. And basically whenever there is the ad, you're just praying and hoping that you're gonna get your Fingers of Frost so you can cleave the ad. The only thing which you need to do is to soak, and I didn't even soak this time, so bad Marco definitely. Again, I failed my Frozen Orb there, so yeah, already quite a bit of mistakes on the boss.
Harmony will not be silenced. Purifying chorus.
I didn't want to blink this arc, it's just gonna do some damage, healers are gonna heal me, and I don't need to leave my Rune of Power. Now unluckily the ad died while I got my Fingers of Frost, so that wasn't ideal. But this ad is perfect for me since I have my Rune of Power down and I got my Frozen Orb down as well. and this ad already melted. And now I'm seriously hoping that we're gonna kill the boss before we manage to get the second shield thingy. And now I'm soaking this, finally, good job me. But I didn't waste any of the cast, because I used all the instant cast to get into the soak group. Now the boss is doing more halos. I'm looking at my debuff, so I had to run forward. I still had my instant cast with ice lances, so it wasn't too bad. I didn't lose any of my DPS. As you can see, we're already 3 minutes into the fight. I popped my Deathborn instantly, and we didn't manage to kill the boss while she had her, like, before the absorb shield. So that's not ideal. I'm gonna lose a bit of DPS just because of that. And there it is. This is one of the easiest bosses of the whole raid, even on Mythic. Now we're at Prototype Pantheon boss, and this is a super annoying boss to deal with, at least in my opinion, on the heroic difficulty. The bosses are phasing now at 40% of HP, and they have quite a bit of downtime whenever they're phasing, so your Icy Veins usage is gonna be a bit limited just because of that reason. Immediately you pop Deathborn and you're just basically gonna spam your Frostbolts and change targets in order to keep everyone with the Winter's Chill if you get multiple flurries, and if you have to move or something, use your Ice Lances. I use my Ice Lances here just because I wasn't even sure if I needed to focus on the ads. Ideally, for your DPS, your personal DPS, you want to be focusing on the bosses and let someone else do the ads. Greedy thing, but that's the thing that you need to do in order to have greater lugs. And now, unluckily, I got a mechanic. This is just pure RNG. I use my Alter Time and I'm gonna use my block, so no one needs to dispel me there. So I dispelled myself inside of the dome, so I don't spread the magical effect. Now at this point I really don't want to use my second Icy Veins, just because I know that I won't be able to keep the uptime of it, because these bosses which are incoming take like 10ish seconds before they come, so my Icy Veins would definitely suffer. So it's better to play it safe than that you have to wait like 30 seconds or something for the next Icy Veins, and I hate the boss movement. They moved as soon as I got my Comet Storm, so overall this was quite an unlucky pull for me. Now you're just doing the normal thing. You're probably gonna do 2 Icy Veins per phase of the boss. It really depends on the DPS output of the group. This boss is definitely easier to log when you're inside of a guild group, because you're gonna kill these bosses super fast, so you won't even have to do ads in the first phase. And you're gonna have your Necrolord back up for the last phase, and you're just gonna burst the boss as much as you can. Just be careful that you don't get touched by the silence, and I forgot that the boss is gonna use Hand of Destruction. Is it Hand of Destruction? Doesn't matter. The ability which pulls you in, I forgot to use my Alter Time there. It would be ideal for me to use Alter Time there.
Watch your step.
And now at this point of the boss fight, it's super weird. It's a weird timing, because I don't know if I should use my Icy Veins, but I just played it safe and I didn't use Icy Veins. Because the bosses were already at 55ish% HP, and I was thinking there's no way that I'm gonna refresh my Icy Veins. And I think that it was a good call, because you really need to have Icy Veins at the start of the last phase, because it's a big burst, big fiesta phase. Now I actually forgot to cast my Flashcraft, which cost me some of the DPS, but it's alright. And I'm using it now, because I don't want to proc my Comet Storm in a very bad situation, so no one is gonna get hit by my Comet Storm, and that's why I waited a few seconds before I started doing damage.
Watch your step.
We have 4 mob cleave here, so you want to cast your blizzards, but you're not casting a single ice lance here. So ideally, you kind of want that your group doesn't do too much damage in this phase, because this phase is easier than it used to be. But we actually have quite a decent hunter. I mean, hunters are bombastic on this fight. Can't really compete against them as a frost mage. If I wanted to make an ideal log, this hunter was supposed to be outside of the raid, for example. But overall, I'm happy with the log, even though it could have been a lot better, in my opinion at least. Lihuvim is another weird boss, but I quite like it because it has a good ads phase, and again, I think that it's better for you to do this in a non-guild group with the players who don't do as much DPS, let's say. Because in the intermission phases you really want to cleave the ads as much as you can, and in highly geared raid groups you won't be able to do as much damage as you want on them.
Run out.
This is a huge room, so whenever you get these bombs to destroy the moats, it's not really optimal to delete them, because yeah, it's just too big of a room and the fight is way too short, so you can basically put bombs wherever you want. Just the main point is that you don't block anything. And now I used my Icy Veins a bit too soon, maybe. But I didn't want to waste my Rune of Power, that's why I stood outside a bit, so I took a bit more damage than I should have. Right, we killed this ad super fast. I popped a Hellstone because I was going super low, I wasn't in the anti-magic shell. And at this point we got the mini ads, I had my Comet Storm, everything was perfect. And I decided to do a Frost Nova as well, because my Icy Veins cooldown was really bad, and I just wanted that I managed to reset my Icy Veins. These ads cannot be crowd controlled, so my Frost Nova there was just for Icy Veins cooldown purposes. Now you just want to focus on the boss while you're cleaving the ad, and that's the ideal thing that you can do. Again, I had some unlucky movement with the Comet Storm. The tank moved the boss when my Comet Storm was coming in, and yeah, you can't really do anything about it, so you just have to pray to the RNG god. You can deny every single one of these pushes with your blinks. I don't always deny them, because I don't really care about my positioning at some points, but when I want to be a bit closer to the boss, I'm gonna blink it immediately. Now I'm moving from the guy which has the moat, so I don't pop the moat. And I'm looking at the boss energy bar. At 100% he's gonna go back into the air, so we have quite a bit more time in order to do DPS on him. Now I wanted to do an immediate shimmer, so I'm right back at my Rune of Power, so I don't lose any uptime. Now the boss is soon gonna phase, but I don't care about it. I'm gonna pop all of my cooldowns again. I popped Deathborn this early just because I think that I won't be able to like use the whole Deathborn if I don't pop it immediately. Right now I'm basically just focusing on the boss, and now I'm gonna focus on the defense matrix. just because of the reason that he reduces everyone's else damage by like 50% or something. So I'm just focusing on him, using my frostbolts. I moved a bit, and that's why I used my ice lances, and now I'm back on focusing the boss. I'm using my ice lances now because the cleave ad is about to die, and you're gonna have more burst damage if you use your ice lances there. And now I see that I made a mistake by popping Deathborn early, because I am already out of my Deathborn. So it was a bit of a bad call by me, but I was expecting that the boss is gonna die sooner. And the boss pretty much rolled over, and I did 16k DPS, so that's about 20 DPS on this fight, so I'm quite happy with the result. It could have been a bit bigger, but oh well, maybe next time. Now we're entering the guild kills. I didn't manage to kill any of the later bosses in Pug groups, so let's see our Anduin. And I think that the last 4 bosses are definitely much better to do with your guild, are definitely much easier to do in your guild group for logging than with Pugs. Especially since you're gonna waste so much time with Pugs and you're not gonna kill anything. Ideally, for the DPS, you want to be in the first Shadow Realm zone, where you're killing the ads, because they're gonna be all on one spot. So, but in my case, I'm always outside, so I'm just trying to focus the boss with my solo target damage as much as I can.
No, there's one more. I missed you.
But again, you want to be in this first Kingsmourn Hunger, just because there's going to be 3 or 4 ads stacked upon, like stacked on each other, and that's gonna propel your DPS a bit further. But overall, you're a frost mage and your solo target damage is completely decent, so I'm staying outside. The rule in our guild is whenever you get this dot, you don't want to stay inside of the shadow zone, because you can't really be healed while inside of it.
Stack.
I can do more icy veins because it's still a long way before the boss phases. We still have the second death phase, the realm phase, shadow realm, whatever. And after this icy veins, I'm gonna wait. I should wait with my next icy veins. Now I get the Wicked Star. You can use Alter Time, so you can immediately go back to the original place, but you can also stay wherever you want, because we already killed this boss quite a bit of times, so everyone knows what to do here. I got the light one, and I should search for the dark guy, and we were the last pair which didn't pair, so I just blinked into him.
Boys, we survived all blasphemies of the fight.
Surely nothing will go wrong.
What if he doesn't
Now the stage is swapping. Ideally, I think that I should have continued DPSing the Anduin here for the procs, even though I would proc Comet Storm on him and it wouldn't do any damage. But now I procced my Comet Storm on the Lich King, and that wasn't ideal because I didn't manage to cleave any of the ads. And now you just want to pop all of your cooldowns, potions, everything, and you just want to spam AoE here as much as you can. And now I'm using single target DPS, so I'm not ramping up as much as I can, just because we want to kill the little abomination and solo target damage is important. I mean, we already have too much damage, but I still want to do the guild calls.
He is the kind of guy to knock them up the way so he can solo them.
Now I'm hoping that my Comet Storm is gonna be in a good spot, and it actually is in a good spot, so I use my Frost Nova as well with the Comet Storm for the Giga Burst. And now our whole goal in this phase is to basically kill Anduin in this first phase, and in all of the Pugs you won't be able to do that. You're always gonna have 2 Lich King phases. So our DPS is actually insane, and we're already gonna face the Anduin in the last phase, so we won't have to do with any of the Grim Reflections or anything. But Grim Reflections are a good thing for your DPS, because you can cleave them. But this is even better, because the fight is gonna last for quite a long amount of time. And now we're gonna get a 30 or 40 seconds long debuff, and you don't even need to soak anything in the middle, because the boss is just gonna roll down due to our DPS. And there we go, we got the hopelessness, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to remove the debuff, I'm just gonna continue DPSing the boss.
The boys.
No, and I fit into the boys.
You assassinated me, free me? Hello?
There's no way I killed him. How did a Grippo die?
And that's it, the boss is down. Ideally I wanted to pad a bit more DPS in the Lich King phases, so if I managed to get 2 Comet Storms onto the goals, I think that I would have a better log, even though like this is rank 40th log, so overall I'm happy, but it could have been better. Now we're getting to the Dreadlords fight. This is a super fun boss fight, because the bosses are taking 100% bonus damage in the Swarm phase, and ideally for your DPS, so for us Mage DPS, you want to do Time Warp in the first Swarm phase, but my guild doesn't want to do that, so I have to play accordingly. Alright, I'm using my Deathborn a bit later into the fight, and I hope that I'm gonna get some procs with my Frostbolts, in order that my Deathborn persists into the first Swarm. So now you're basically just spamming Frostbolts unless you want to move, and I wanted to move a bit because my camera was in not a good position. So whenever I'm moving, I'm using my ice lenses as well.
Green shit going through melee. Be careful, move for it. This is your call, where are you? Somebody get hit, go out, get hit, go out.
I actually got hit by the Disorian here. I mean, I saw it that it's incoming, and I didn't... I had a bad reaction, I guess. I should have just backpedaled, and I don't know why did I went right. Anyway, now they're taking 400%, 200% more damage, so you do want to use some ice lances here, especially if you get the Fingers of Frost. My Deathborn expired here already, but then after a Frostbolt I got the new Deathborn.
Can you please go back my healing range there? Going from melee.
And now just make sure that you dodge the green puddles. This time I actually managed to dodge them properly, and I just continue DPS the boss. But again, ideally I wanted to have my Time Warp at the previous phase, but oh well, a majority of the guild doesn't want it, so my DPS suffered.
We get more green shit.
And as you can see now, I'm not using my Icy Veins here, just because Infiltration of the Dread is incoming, and this time you won't be able to like keep the uptime on the boss, so using Icy Veins there is a waste. And now we have a neat V-Cora, which helps us with killing these guys. Also be careful that you don't fall off with the knockback. And now I'm gonna use my Icy Veins and just continue the normal DPS. Also, your overall DPS is gonna matter on how well you do these intermission phases. I mean the second intermission phase, because the second intermission phase is basically downtime on the boss.
Green shit not really come from me. One is coming from me.
Spread.
Now we're just DPSing. The next phase is gonna be the Swarm phase, and you want to do your Necrolord Covenant power a bit sooner. So I should have popped it like right as I've gotten it, and they're doing the Unto the Darkness, and I actually got hit by the another green swirly, which actually tilted me quite a bit, because I don't know, this was my second time I got hit by it. And now I think that I kind of failed this fight because I didn't have my Rune of Power up for this part of the fight, so yeah. I should have probably saved the Rune of Power and just do more and more burst. So yeah, I think that I did a mistake there, and that cost me actually quite a bit of DPS, I'd say. You can see that I'm kinda tilted because I'm using my ice lenses even though I shouldn't.
Range 5.
And now I'm getting disoriented quite a bit, which is annoying. But oh well, it's just the natural course of the fight. And now we're gonna get the next boarding phase, where you're gonna have some downtime. I'm hoping that we're gonna kill the boss before that, so I popped my Icy Veins. And I see that we won't be able to kill it before that phase. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. The bosses are like at super low amount of HP, and I already got my Icy Veins back up. I actually cleared my my players quite a lot with my Comet Storm, just because it popped as they got. So that was kind of lucky for my DPS, let's say. Now this phase lasted by quite a bit, and I immediately got my my Icy Veins back, thanks to the Comet Storm, which hit all of my players. Now we're just gonna finish the boss. I have my Icy Veins, which was quite lucky, but then again, we really wanted to do a bit more DPS in order that we don't get that phase, which cost us like 20 seconds of downtime. After Lords of Dread, we're getting a very exciting solo target boss, almost solo target boss, Rygelon. I'm still running Splitting Eyes because there is going to be Quasars which I need to clear.
Halondrus.
But I just usually start this boss fight. We're gonna pop Heroism immediately at start, and you're just hoping that you won't have the same situation as I did here. My Comet Storm completely missed the mark. So that cost me quite a bit of DPS because this is the biggest burst phase, and I didn't benefit from Comet Storm damage, and I don't have 10% damage increase on the boss. So I immediately got quite a bit wrecked by the RNG of the boss. I have to soak the Dark Eclipse. I got the Event Horizon. I guess I stole the spot from the Demon Hunter, but oh well, we killed more Quasars anyway, so our DPS is through the roof, so the Quasars are just dying. I actually don't even need to focus them because our DPS is insane. Ideally, you want to cleave them a bit from the boss, but that doesn't always happen. And now the massive bang was happening. That's why I went to this side of the room, popped my altar time so I don't get pulled in by the massive bang. So I already have my spot which I'm gonna be faced in. Now you want to be inside of the raid group, so you reduce the damage of these stars.
It's the one who dies.
Can we rest Ali? Can we rest Ali?
Here if you have Deathborn, and here if you had Deathborn, it would be really good because your Frostbolts would cleave the stars and the boss, but you would just be ramping up.
Yo, would this behavior have been okay in Turtles?
Now I'm popping my Rune of Power here, and it's important that we focus down these Quasars as fast as we can, because we already got the Dark Eclipses. So I'm using my flurries on the Quasars, and that's good. We managed to live through this, let's say, hard DPS part, and now I can basically just cleave the Quasars if I want to. They're not really a big priority. We have more than enough of them. Now I got another Dark Eclipse, so I'm just gonna soak it as fast as I can, and I'm gonna go back to focusing DPS on the boss.
Excellent.
I thought we forgot him because he was on another server.
Guys, you wanna kill some quasars?
Knock them away, please.
Ring my razor to be.
How about we just kill him instead?
We should have the damage to kill him.
We're gonna get another massive bang. I wasn't too ready for this one, but still, you're a mage, you can use your shimmers and everything. And now I put my icy veins here. It's not super ideal because you have to get inside of the group so you can reduce the damage of the mobs, but I greeded a bit and I joined at just slightly late. Now this is a great phase for you to have Necrolord Covenant power on. You're just ramping for free. Because these stars are taking like 5 damage, but they're still taking damage, which means that your spell power is gonna get increased. I used my Rune of Power, I didn't need to use my Icy Veins. It would be a waste here to use Icy Veins because you will have to restack your Icy Propulsion from 0. So this was a good call from me by not using Icy Veins there. We only have the last boss left to cover, and I have the worst log for this fight. I only have a 91 percentile log for the Jailer, and I personally hate this fight for mages, even on heroic, even on mythic difficulty. So yeah, like mages are super bad on the Jailer, and also your DPS is gonna matter a lot based on the boss RNG, not just your RNG. First phase is super annoying for Frost mages, because your Icy Veins uptime is gonna be damaged because of the bombs if you get them, and he's gonna spawn pillars and you're gonna get knocked. So there's a lot of abilities which are just gonna like make you stop casting your abilities.
Gateway on this pool.
Here, ideally, for the first pull, you want to use Alter Time, but I don't know why I forgot. Now I got the bomb, which is super unlucky, so I have to go in, and basically I'm losing 5 seconds of uptime on the boss. And now we're hiding from the line of sight, so that's even more uptime lost on the boss. So this is really a bad phase for poor Frost mages.
There's a lot of holes.
And basically this whole fight is determined on the RNG, because in the later phases of the boss you can get mind controlled. And when you get mind controlled, you're not gonna do any DPS, and you're probably gonna have to wait like 10 seconds in order to like get freed from, in order for you to get freed from the mind control. Now I'm like in a complete different spot than the rest of the raid, and even if I get the bomb, there's a one spot in which I can just go, jump and make a new pillar. Now after this tournament we have to break the line of sight again, so again that's a loss of uptime, and that's why I'm never using. So that's why I'm only using one Icy Veins before that ability. So I use Icy Veins, then that ability comes. I already had my Icy Veins back from cooldown, but I don't use it because I know that I'm gonna have some downtime. Now my altar time wasn't on cooldown, and for this pull-in I just used my blink and ran away as fast as I could. Now immediately after this tournament we have Soak, and that's another knock, and then immediately we're going into breaking line of sight. And that's again why I didn't use my Icy Veins there. Now after this I'm gonna use my Icy Veins, and I should have used my Deathborn, but yeah, that was a bit of a bad spell queue by me. I should have used Deathborn into Icy Veins, not the other way around.
Coming now.
Now it's another torment, then we're gonna get the knockback, and the dude focused me, but I went 20 yards back so I can blink whenever he knocks me back, so I'm back in my Rune of Power.
Watch your step.
Second phase is a lot better for a Frost Mage because you have less downtime than in the first phase. Unless you get the mind controlled, of course.
And not coming up now.
Knocking back.
And then again, knockback is on my spot, so I have to move away from it.
Watch your step.
There's a small spot where I can stand, and I found it, so I didn't have to blink away from the raid.
That one is
So this was a perfect positioning by me, and now I'm gonna get mind controlled, and I'm just checking if my ice block is gonna do anything, but it doesn't do anything. You're still gonna get mind controlled. So that's super unlucky, and as you can see, I'm not doing any DPS. I lost like at least 6 or 7 seconds of downtime, and my icy range is on cooldown, but not too big of a cooldown. So everything is fine, but it's not fine.
Do a lot more damage in last phase.
Yeah, but there's no reason to push it to last phase. With tank, okay. It does nothing. Just push it on damage instead. It pushes it as a...
But overall, I really dislike the design of this fight, at least on Heroic. The Mythic version seems more fun, but it's still quite stressful for mages. I don't remember when we were like this bad on the last boss in any of the previous years. Like this is our worst end boss from all the bosses.
I hope I don't fall down here.
It looks like...
Now you get stunned, he's doing some roleplay, but this stun is completely fine because your Icy Veins is gonna be stuck on the cooldown, like you're not gonna get any cooldowns back, your buff uptimes isn't going to go down, so that's good. Now this is the most important phase DPS wise, because you're getting a buff which increases your crit versatility, blah blah blah, basically increases your DPS. And now we have to bait the Defile. I was standing here because I thought that it's a good position for baiting. I think it was. But ideally you want to bait it a bit further away. And now we have to soak this mechanic. We're getting the ads now. So you kinda want to be prepared with Blizzard already. I was a bit late, and yeah, this was actually a perfect ad grip for me, because I popped my Comet Storm. Ideally, it would be great if I had Deathborn during that phase as well.
The range, heat the fuck away. Now, range. Heat out.
There is another Defile. It didn't go on me because the boss turned to the different side of the room, and bam, the jailer is dead. We only got one ad phase, so our DPS was insane, but our solo target DPS was insane, but I didn't do too well, and this boss is still a puzzle which I need to solve by myself. Now you can see all of my logs on one spot. Best performance average is 99 percentile, so I didn't lie in my title. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed my point of views and commentary on all the heroic bosses. And I'm quite happy that I have a guild in which I can just kill the last 4 bosses in a raid group, because pugging is quite cancerous. Pugging first 7 bosses is hard depending on a group, but other 4 bosses are kinda impossible from my point of view, because I wasted so many hours trying to kill any of those bosses and I didn't get anything out of it. So I wish you good luck if you're trying to pug the later bosses, and until next video, take care.